The Church of San Isidro el Real, also known as the Collegiate or Collegiate Church of San Isidro, is a Baroque building in the center of Madrid, Spain. It is named after and holds the remains of the patron saint of Madrid, Isidro the Laborer, and his wife Santa Maria de la Cabeza. It has held the status of a basilica church for centuries. The building was designed by the architect Pedro Sanchez in 1620. Construction work began 2 years later, directed by the architect until his death in 1633. It was later continued by Francisco Bautista and Melchor de Buras, who finished the work in 1664. The church replaced the parish church of St. Peter and St. Paul, 16th century, which had been demolished to create the earlier Imperial College, following the instructions left in her will by Empress Maria of Austria, Holy Roman Empress, daughter of Charles I and sister to King Philip II of Spain. The Empress bequeathed her fortune to the Jesuit order in order that a new building could be built on the site of the demolished parish church. The church was consecrated on September 23, 1651, 13 years before its completion. It was initially attached to the aforementioned Jesuits order and dedicated to Saint Francis Xavier, one of the most distinguished Jesuits and saint patron of the Catholic missions. However, in 1767, with the expulsion of the Jesuits, the building became a collegiate church. 2 years later, in 1769, the church was rededicated to Saint Isidore to mark the translation of the saint's body from the Church of Saint Andrew. Saint Isidro is the saint protector of the city of Madrid, and his remains had been guarded since the 16th century in the bishop's chapel at Saint Andrew's Church. The relics of his wife Saint Mary of the Head family were also transferred. Its interior was then renovated by the famous architect Ventura Rodriguez, who designed a new richly decorated chancel and high altar. In 1885, with the establishment of the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Madrid, the church became the pro-cathedral of the city. The church held that rank until the current Almudena Cathedral was completed in 1993, when it returned to its collegiate status. Until Almudena Cathedral was completed, the building housed images of the Virgin, of the Saint Isidro and of the Christ of the Good Death, a masterful piece of work by Juan de Mesa. These works were then moved to Almudena Cathedral. In 1936, at the very beginning of the Spanish Civil War, the building caught fire, which destroyed many works of art, including the altarpiece of Ventura Rodriguez, as well as paintings by Luca Giordano Ricci. The fire also caused the collapse of the dome. After the war, the church was painstakingly restored over 2 decades, trying to recover the original features, culminating in the 1960s with the rise of a new section on the towers of the facade by the architect Javier Barroso. A remarkably faithful replica of the high altar of Ventura Rodriguez was also made. As a curious note, the restoration of one of the chapels, Our Lady of the Carmen or the Lady of the Sailors Chapel, was paid for by the British Embassy in Madrid, and the British coat of arms can be clearly seen over Our Lady altar. In terms of art history, the church contains an altarpiece by Sebastián Herrera and paintings by Claudio Coelho, Herrera, and Ricci, as well as sculptures by Juan Pascual de Mina. San Isidro, Saint Isidore, is the patron saint of Madrid, as well as of farm workers, and the city holds annual processions in his honor every May 15th. The Fiesta of San Isidro in May sees madrileños in traditional dress heading for the Plaza Mayor, where there is traditional dancing and concerts. The fiesta also marks the start of Madrid's bullfighting season. The saint himself was born in the 11th century in Madrid, living there until his death at nearly 90, and he is remembered chiefly for his good works towards the poor and to animals. A series of miracles are attributed to him in the city, including raising people from the dead, and he was canonized in 1622. On the most famous occasion, his prayers are said to have raised his own son from the dead by causing the waters of the well in his house to rise, after his son had fallen into it. The well is said to contain healing water, and to have cured illness. San Isidro was originally buried in the church of San Andrés in Madrid, but he and his wife's bodies were transferred to San Isidro after the church was built over the site of the house where the saint had lived with his wife and son. The famous well, site of one of his miracles, is located under the altar. The church dedicated to San Isidro can be found in the historic center of Madrid, At number 37, Calle de Toledo, within easy reach of the Plaza Mayor and El Rastro Flea Market. It is close to La Latina metro station, and can also be reached on bus numbers 23 and 50. This is definitely the place to be during Easter week, when two large religious images are brought out of the church doors to take part in the religious processions of Semana Santa. The young men carrying these images have to get down almost onto their knees to lower the heavy platforms on which the icons stand, in order for them to fit through the door.
Lo azul, aquí estaba salgado. No, 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 no.